Hi guys, this is Zanele and we are the
Apatas.
Apatas. Welcome to 2021. Happy New Year. We wish you all the best in this new year, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe. So anyway, today, we are away like for 3 nights at a very nice like resort in Hazy View in Pumalanga. It's called Sabi Ridge Lodge, Sabi Bush, whatever. We are going to share like a video of what we captured and the tour of the property basically on this channel as well. And anyway, so this morning we were having a conversation, about what's going on in the world, um, and how we individually are think about it and how we are dealing with it. So we were having a conversation during our breakfast this morning about what is going on in the world and everything that is going on. I have my own view and how I take it and what I've learned, especially what I've come to understand about life, as a whole, with what has happened from 2020. And we all know what has happened with the pandemic. We've had protests in America. There's literally so many issues in different countries. Nigeria had protests, and SARS all protests. So there is actually a lot of things going on in the world. And for me personally, as a Christian, is understanding that this season um, is what's been written about in the Bible. It's going to happen, or it's happening. This is the season that we're at, and you, for me as Zanele, I have to prepare myself, and I have to ask Christ, ask God for strength to deal with them, because whether you post and you cry and you whatever, you know, it is what it is. They are gonna happen. There will still be more happening. Um, it's about how do you, as an individual, deal with it, and how you, as an individual, um, you know, how are you handling the whole thing? For me personally, the importance is working on a relationship. If you're a Christian and you maybe like lukewarm, or you're one of those Christians that go to church every Sunday, and like, oh, you see church as that annual activity, or
Weekly.
or weekly or whatever. Be very, very intentional about your relationship with God, because it's definitely what is helping me and is helping us in dealing with what is going on. Because humanly, with our own flesh, we can't understand what's going on, and it's very hurtful. It's a lot to take in, and yeah.
Agree with you. And as individuals, you know, even beyond both of us, we all have different ways of dealing with things. But we have chosen the ways of God, applying His word, and some of the scriptures that have made impact in our lives, anchoring on them, and using them to align ourselves, our spirit, soul, and body, so that we can um, keep on keeping on, you know. So, and like you said, it is um, humanly and fleshly impossible to be able to deal with all that are going on.
Yes.
I mean, at the time of recording this video, things are happening specifically in America, which are very, very despicable and very demeaning to the nation that arguably most, all over the world respects, like especially from political point of view. And seeing what's happened, it's
Yeah, it's definitely a lot.
disappointing.
Yeah, it's a lot, and I take the things that are happening, like I mentioned before, that they were supposed to happen, but I take them also with understanding that what we've always known and what we were born into. I was explaining to my husband that when we are born, we are in this world, we are born into, you find situations that are already there. So if you're born into a Zulu family, you're born into a Nigerian family, then you kind of follow whatever the processes that you found there, right? And you think and you identify that, this is life and this is how I'm supposed to live because that's how I found it. But with everything that has happened or is happening, it's, me personally, I've questioned how I've always lived my life and how I thought life was because of where I was born into and what I thought life was. So the season that we're at is teaching us to be, define, well, as a Christian, most importantly is to make sure that I have, continue my walk with God and, depend on Him, live for Him, but then also to define my life and what I want to see my life as. So my life is not defined by like where I was born and this is how therefore I should live, right? I can find things that will give me fulfillment, do things that are meaningful about life. I was saying to him that, with all the shows that I tend to watch on YouTube, they're very inspiring to me because, I saw this couple that live in a cabin somewhere in the Netherlands, and they've been living there for 8 years. They live a very simple life. In their cabin, they just have, and it's off grid, so they don't have electricity. The water they fetch from the river. They use the fire, they turn on the candles for light. So when she was doing the tour of the cabin, it was actually winter, so she was talking about how they keep warm and they have books in their cabin that to me kind of showed that we've overcomplicated this thing called life, based obviously on what we were born into, so what we found and what was defined by the people before us. Uguti, this is how we should live life and this is how we should do things. But when I see such, like, I just learn and understand, Uguti, you can redesign your life. You can relook at how you've always been living. Who says that we have to in order to have fun, we should be hanging out and drinking alcohol? And this season has taught us that that's besides the point. Having fun is, getting together with your family, traveling to somewhere and camping if you want to camp, or not even traveling anywhere, you stay home, you have time with your family that matter to you. It's important to create memories. It's important to be intentional about your living and how you're interacting with people, spending the time with people, and doing the things that make you happy. We've seen that in the season. It's not about all these things that we thought life was actually about. It's the opposite, because it's not even about whether you're rich or you're poor, you're educated, you're uneducated, whether you're a doctor, you are whatever.
Irrespective of the race,
irrespective, yes, of the race. I was actually telling my husband that even with COVID, it affects every single person as long as you're a human being, regardless of your race, which to me should tell most people who will always believe Duguti, if they are this race they are better than the other race. This thing affects, so meaning that inside it does the same thing that it does to each and every individual. So it has nothing to do with
us the same way,
exactly,
irrespective of the color of your skin. And that again validates the fact that inside of us, our spirits and soul are the same, and the wiring of our internal being are the same.
No one is better than the other. No one is more important than the other. And funny enough that, the disease is about how we work well together. It's about actually sacrificing for one another, because one person, if you have it, you have to think about every other human being. So it's about, being selfless or whatever.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something based on what you said about where we were born and traditions and culture and all of that. The truth is, every human being was born, naked, and in the real sense of it, where we were all born blank, naked physically, and blank, in mentality wise, or with our minds. Everything that we get to know today, we were taught or we were conditioned, so it's all about programming.
Yes.
And like you said earlier, that no no set of race is better than the other. Neither anyone born in a particular nationality is better than the other. The year that passed, 2020, exposed a lot of things, even when it comes to quote unquote religious leaders. We see the strengths and the weaknesses.
Yeah.
Even political leaders, and all of that. So
Yeah.
again, most importantly, we just have to make sure, individuals, we have to make sure that we take what is important as core and center of our life, and what is that relationship, with one another, and family members, and making sure. And I should say this, it's one of the things that I said earlier off the camera, that love is the most important thing. How you love or love, whichever way you pronounce it or say it, it's the most important thing, and that is what we must start cultivating as humanity generally.
Yes. I wanted to say that, what the year since last year, it was doing a lot of exposing of things, exposing of what we always believed was the truth. The people that we were following, I used to follow, a lot of people. I've unfollowed a lot of people as well, because what I thought they were not. But the season itself, which requires us to be very sensitive, don't just take things at face value and think, that is it. You look into deep and see what actually does it mean. The season itself is about the exposing of things. Anyway, so sorry guys, we had to change cameras. Our camera's battery died. So anyway, what I was saying is that the year has exposed a lot of things, and we should be very sensitive in the season about what is going on and how we respond, especially as Christians. It's not ignoring what is going on, but is choosing to go with the word of God, and to speak life into things that don't seem so, and constantly asking him to help us, through prayers, with everything that is going on, So me personally, if I had to advise anybody, is, don't spend so much time going on and talking about and reposting what is going on in the world. Personally, like, even on my WhatsApp, I constantly post like comedy, like things that are funny. And it's not to say that I'm ignoring what is going on, but if I post it, what's gonna change and what's gonna happen? Because my thing is, every single person on earth kind of knows that we're in a pandemic. So I'm sharing things about it for what? unless if I'm sometimes share things like, oh, how to cope, and based on what I've seen also on social media, like what to take, what to drink, so that people get better. But my point is to say that enjoy your life, even in the pandemic. Find ways to enjoy your life. Find ways to take care of yourself. Do the things that you're supposed to do. Um, you don't have to be following all these things that are going on in the world, but be sensitive. See things are getting exposed. If you look, I've never in my whole entire life imagined that we would live in the time that we live in, or I never imagined that America will go through the things that they're going through. But you can see that a lot of things are getting revealed, and we are moving forward. It might not look like it, but we're moving forward. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And please, let's take responsibilities. Let's be responsible in the way we deal with each other, the way we do things. The government or the leaders have said wear
Do
mask.
this, yeah.
Wear mask. Wash your hands. Is what these are simple, basic,
And it goes back.
instructions. It's not in any way. Sorry, Babs, it's not in any way to infringe on your rights, as
And
some
it,
people
it
claim.
yeah, and it also goes back to the point where you said about love, loving loving people, loving humanity. I think loving people, especially in this season, is you think beyond yourself, and you
Absolutely.
do what is right because you love people, and you want to be that person who's not responsible for causing however many people to get sick irresponsibly. Yes, we know that there are people that have to work, and some will catch it because of certain ways, but when you can do everything in love. Yeah, do everything in love.
Yeah.
So that's what we wanted to share for you know what we were thinking about this morning and reflecting on about this morning, that we wanted to share with you guys. It's a new year. Let's not lose hope. It's hard, yes. Let's not lose hope. Let's continue with the things that we wanted to continue with, that we wanted to do, the plans that we have, because God is still God and He will never change. Live under Him at all times, even when it doesn't make sense, even when you feel confused, whatever you feel, still go to Him with that confusion. God, I'm hurting, so much is going on. And also be intentional that you don't allow yourself to live under such negative environment. Like I mentioned earlier, watching things like news and stuff like that, or following accounts that all they do is just talk about things that are going to make you feel depressed or anything like that. So take care of your health, take care of your mental health, spend time with yourself, find things to do, spend time with your family, with your children, find new hobbies, do something new. Yeah.
And you mentioned it earlier that these two shall pass, and that's the absolutely truth. The pandemic, the things that we're seeing all over the world, these two shall pass. Nothing stays forever, the same forever. So live with hope and practice love amongst, your
and
people.
and also, just living in hope also just doesn't mean that every single day you're going to be having this
Hype.
absolute positivity going on. Yes, even me, like I sometimes have days like, oh Lord, what's going on? But I thank God that every day I push myself to be intentional, to remove from myself from things that make me feel
Down.
down and feel like that. If I have to block people on WhatsApp, I do that. If I have to delete numbers so that I don't see their status, I do that. But it doesn't mean that you won't get the feeling, because we are still human beings and we feel. Okay. So yeah, that's what we wanted to share with you today. Please remember, to like the video, subscribe, and share it with people that you believe need some sort of encouragement during this time. Thank you.
Thank you, guys, and see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye bye.